So good to have you with us on this first day of the conference. There is a report leading up to this conference that sort of has everyone here talking about. It is about the need for population growth and looking at the demographics of Michigan. Folks behind that report, Ani Turner with Altarum and Eric Lupher of Citizens Research Council. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Eric, we were talking a little earlier before we started. I don't ever remember a single report leading up to a Mackinac policy conference having such impact and being what the dialogue is all about. So first, what is in this report that has everyone's eyes this wide?
Yeah, so Michigan's population hasn't been growing for the last 50 years. We've been sort of on a flat, little people coming, some people going, obviously natural growth with births and deaths. And it doesn't bode well for the future. The national population is growing much faster, and we're getting left behind. And that affects our economy. It affects the quality of life in the state. It affects our infrastructure. It affects our education system. It affects everything about who we are and what we do.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious. I mean, you named some things about it affects, but for someone who's listening at home going, well, I haven't seen a change. I mean, what will that look like in 5 or 10 years? What does that actually mean in day-to-day life?
Well, I think, first of all, it means a workforce that's less capable of providing the skills we need.
Yeah.
So we obviously want to attract businesses here to be employers.
Yeah.
But if they look at our population, they look at the percent of the population with college degrees, there's not much reason for them to want to come here. So that's the immediate thing. I think right away they're going to say, how are we going to be able to grow into the future with less of a workforce able to do the jobs we need to do?
Ani, tell me why it was important to be part of this report.
Well, I think, again, what we want is to create a common set of facts,
a
common vision for the path that we're on, so that plans can be made for the long term. I think one of the reasons why long-term population trends are so difficult to address is because it is out in the long run. You know, as you're saying, how does it affect me today or tomorrow? Well, the future will be here 10 years from now, 20 years from now. The declines that we've been seeing have been decades in the making. So we want to put it out there in a comprehensive way, put the facts out there for people to see and acknowledge so that long-term plans can be made to address it.
As I mentioned, and I really don't think I'm being hyperbolic, how much of the discussion is centered now around this idea of growing population. Were you surprised at maybe, I don't want to say little attention was being paid, but now how drastically everyone seems to go, oh, this seems to be an issue?
Yeah, I think that, again, it's been a long time coming, as Eric said.
Yeah.
Our population started slowing down compared to the rest of the country 50 years ago in the 1970s. But it seems to be a moment where people are waking up and really seeing it and paying attention. And we had a difficult first decade of the 21st century. We had the Great Recession. We had COVID. And we're kind of waking up and looking around. And, what we see when we look at the data is from 2000 to 2020, out of the 50 states in the District of Columbia, Michigan ranked 50th in growth. We only grew 1% over those 20 years. And, living here, year after year, I think, you can see changes coming, but it takes stopping and taking stock and seeing where we are to really realize the path that we're on.
It's a little like boiling the frog. You don't notice until.
That's right,
Exactly.
I mean, Eric, I was fascinated. I was talking to someone earlier who's my age, right, who said, my whole life of Michigan, when someone has asked me the population of my state, I say 10 million.
10 million.
And over 40 years.
Over 50 years, you can say the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so your question is about the attention. You've been doing this a long time. You probably remember reports from the Engler administration and the Granholm administration and the Snyder administration.
Yeah.
This isn't new.
Right.
We've been paying attention. It's really encouraging that so many people, philanthropy, business, concerned citizens, government, are all coming together to recognize this is an issue now. So maybe there's hope where there wasn't before with those reports. Maybe there's hope that this report has legs and will lead to action.
Well, I guess that leads to the question, are the right stakeholders at the table? I don't mean this table. I guess I mean, the folks who are going to do something about it.
Yep.
Who needs to be at that table? Are they, and what do they do?
Yeah, we don't know what the table looks like, so I don't know if the right people are involved or not. Certainly having the conversations at this conference, the premier conference for policy in Michigan, is a great place to start.
Yeah.
But we've also, again, right, how many things happen on Mackinac and stay on Mackinac? We have to take it back home and action continue. We're going to have reports coming out. We only released 2 of 5
I want to get to that.
So we want to keep that conversation going all throughout the summer and keep that, let's keep it going beyond Mackinac Island.
Yeah. Ani, who do you see as needing, to be at the
Well,
table?
I think this study was funded by 11 different foundations in Michigan. So there's a strong kind of philanthropic interest and presence. But we're speaking to policymakers. We're speaking to the private sector. We've had interactions with business leaders of Michigan. So I think it takes all stakeholders, public, private, nonprofit, philanthropy, really working together for the long run.
Yeah. So we've spent a lot of time talking about the population report. There was also a report about the demographics of the state, and we're getting older.
We are getting older, and that's really, maybe it's not a bad thing that we're not growing, but it is a bad thing that we've lost our young working age population. So 10, 15, 20 years from now, those are the people that we need to replace my generation, the baby boom that will be stepping aside. And who's going to be those doctors? Who's going to be that plumber? Who's going to be the manager in the store? And if we don't have that talent coming up, rising through the ranks, learning those skills, that's going to be the real issue. Maybe 10 million is a good number. Maybe 12, maybe 8. But it's really about how that age is distributed throughout that population. And that's a real problem for Michigan.
Yeah. Ani, what other reports are coming out? You have 3 more.
So the next one will be health, talking about the health of the population of Michigan, opportunities, challenges. And again, when we look at a little bit of a preview, when we look at health, it's the same story in terms of losing ground. Slowly, Michigan's population is less healthy than average across a number of dimensions. After health, then 2 CRC-led papers, one on infrastructure, natural resources, climate, and then the final, state and local government, kind of how that's structured and financed, how we can implement some policies that need to get done.
Again, all issues it feels like we've been talking about in this state for years and years and years.
They're not new issues.
Right.
What we're hoping with these reports is you see the interconnectedness between them. Our education system affects our workforce. Our education system affects the tax base. The infrastructure affects the quality of life and the sense of place. Why would people want to be here? So let's not just be off in our different tribes, our different issue areas talking about these different things. Let's come together and understand that interconnectedness and think about the holistic approach to addressing these issues.
And I wonder if there isn't an intersection there with the theme of the conference and the power of and, the yes and instead of either or solutions. How does that fit into, again, this holistic approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we want to keep people here. We want to attract people. We want to invest in Michigan as a place to live and work and have a family. And we want to invest in Michiganders. And all of those things require all of the stakeholders working together and their long-term goals. So absolutely very consistent with that theme.
Yeah.
There's not a silver bullet.
No.
Right? There's not a silver bullet. So it by definition is and. We need to fix education and infrastructure and our public health system and this and that and 3 more things.
Yeah, Eric, 10 seconds. It might not be fair, but are you optimistic that Michiganders can do this?
Yeah, we're a state that gets things done.
Okay.
So absolutely, we can do this.
Well, I like to hear those words. Thank you both for the time. And again, congratulations on a report that really has been the buzz. And we know that Governor Gretchen Whitmer is going to be speaking about this week as well and laying out some possible solutions. Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you both.